healing all that old stuff and having this great relationship that when he passed, I really didn't feel a lot of grief because I knew that we had completed everything with one another. And my dad would always say to us when we were kids, whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. You can do it. Just put your mind to it. You can do it. He wasn't science of mind. He was Presbyterian. But he was teaching science of mind. And so I knew that from a very early time on, that if you really put your mind to it, you can do anything. And because of that, I've had some incredibly wonderful experiences in my life. But it's not because I'm any smarter or better than anybody else. It's just that I used that principle over and over again. That what we envision, what we really see to be possible, is possible. That even when you don't think you have the money, sometimes, somehow, that money shows up. Or if it isn't the money that shows up, something shows up that allows you to do it anyway. Right? I was president of an organization for a while that had a special tour to China. And little unknown to me, if we sold a number of tours, there was a free one. Well, I didn't know that the president got the free tour. I got to go to China, and I'd always wanted to go to China. I didn't think I could afford to go to China, but I didn't have to pay for going to China. I got to go free. Just because, again, was that clear idea of I would like to see China. That's one of the places I wanted to go. So it's not about the limitation. It's about moving past the limitation. It's about getting unstuck from those old ideas and recognizing that really, with God, all things are possible, right? This is what we teach. This is divine truth. So, I also recently read that the mind will naturally lean into positive statements more than negative ones. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
That the mind will lean into positive statements more than negative ones. But we must be the ones to choose the positive statements. And that's why we teach affirmation. Because affirmations, when we repeat them over and over, help change those little grooves in the brain, if you will, and allow us to shift our thinking from those thoughts of limitation, those yellow sticky notes, and move into a place of love, of understanding that these things are possible. That being able to affirm in the I am statements, in those powerful statements that allow us to see the truth of who we really are, they are really effective. They really do work. What I do know is that the universe is tilted in our favor and the universe says yes. And when we're saying yes to the universe, things do move. And we do get ourselves unstuck. So when we want to counter those limiting beliefs, we do it with ones that are affirming and positive and strong. And that way we begin to live a life that's fully expressive and expressive of who we are. Emma Curtis Hopkins tells us, in her wonderful absolute way, that for every demon we release, if we don't immediately replace it with an angel or an angelic thought, a positive thought, a divine thought, a powerful affirmation, then 12 more demons will rush in and take that space. Whoa! So it's important to do our work. That when we're ready to release a limiting belief, we've got to be ready to replace it with one that is not, that is an affirmative belief, a positive belief, and bring that in. Now, she likes to use born of God. That's one of her powerful affirmations. I am born of God. My thoughts are born of God. My words are born of God. My will is born of God. My actions are born of God. Now, that's Emma. I love Emma.
I do too.
The samurai of positive affirmation, absoluteness. So we have an affirmation today. Do you have a program? I didn't see if you got programs. Oh, I don't need it, but there is an affirmation, and now you're going to repeat it later also. But I'd like you to share it with me because I think this is something that is also helpful. I free myself of any false beliefs. I choose to let go of limiting thoughts and open myself to love. Nothing can hold me back. The universe is tilted in my favor. Now, sometimes you read stuff like that and you go, oh yeah, well, you don't know my situation. Well, that's called arguing for your limitations, isn't it? But if we can continually repeat these things to ourselves, to recognize, then what happens is, just like I was always looking for evidence of why I was not enough, you begin to look for evidence for why the universe is tilted in your favor. Beginning to notice the things that aren't going your way. Beginning to notice that that divine compass, that true north, is leading you in the direction of your dreams. There's a reason for having dreams, and the dreams are there so that you can fulfill them and live them. When I was in Boston one time, I was taking a long walk along the Boston Commons, and there was a statue of a sea captain. This has always stayed with me. Statue of a sea captain, and at the bottom of his feet was a plaque, and the plaque said, "Dream your dreams, but live them."
Yeah.
Don't just dream the dreams, live them. Move out of that place of disbelief, of false belief, of thinking that you're in lack, and move to that place of loving yourself enough to start noticing that the universe is tilted in your favor, that the universe is saying yes to you, and yes to your dreams. Because life is, you know what, sticky notes never stick to synthetics. Did you notice that? That's an affirmation too, I guess. Life is and always will be uncertain. One of the things that we had to weigh very carefully was when you're on an island way out there in the middle of nowhere, and the way that you get your groceries is on a barge twice a week that comes in and fills the shelves at Costco. And the rest of the time you're kind of on your own. And then if the weather's really bad, the barge won't come. Is that you have to be willing to be vulnerable, right? And you have to be willing to be a little bit self-sufficient. It is a way of really recognizing how uncertain life is. You know what? Life is uncertain when you get in the car. Why else do people tell you to eat dessert first, right? It's the same idea. Life is uncertain. So does it matter? No, it doesn't, because we're all living with that uncertainty. But the certainty is that God is. The certainty is we are born of God. The certainty is that as we live this life, the real call for us is to live this life. And to not be, as Emerson spoke, living lives of quiet desperation. That there is something that is possible for you, and it's possible for you in this moment right now. It's possible for you once you change your mind and let go of those things that have held you in place. Getting unstuck. So getting rid of those old yellow sticky notes and recognizing that the love of God is expressing in you every single day. That one power, that one presence, that one peace and joy and holiness and abundance and good. The sufficiency unto this day that Goldsmith speaks of. To trust Spirit to run our lives. To allow ourselves to find ourselves in a place of freedom when we listen to that inner voice, that inner compass, that inner guide that we find in the stillness. We find that truth of life. And it's there that we can become those things that we've dreamed of being. That really very little is impossible to us. I did want to mention a story, and I'm going to back up a little bit because I'm really almost done with my talk, but I didn't want to forget this because it so impressed me. During the Olympics, the young woman, the figure skater, who did the triple axel. First American woman ever to do a triple axel at the Olympics. Now, a triple axel is a leap and a triple spin that is done. It says her velocity is 20 miles an hour when she leaves the ground. She spins around 3 times and then lands on one leg in an arabesque. Have you tried that? I'm sure the first time she tried it, she couldn't do it either. I'm sure the first time she was ever on skates, she probably slipped and fell and bumped. I'm sure every one of those Olympic athletes go through bruises and broken bones and tears and frustration and anger, but they have